This video will show you how to replace the front brake flex hose on a Ford Transit-250. You'll have one of these on each side of the vehicle located behind your front wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Now the first thing we have to do is safely raise and support the front end of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. After completing that, we're going to remove your hubcap, assuming you have one. You could carefully pry this out of place using your hand, or you could use a pry bar, whatever's easiest for you. Just a quick inspection of that hubcap, we'll set it aside. Now with that out of position, the next thing we're going to do is remove all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts so we can remove that wheel. Now once you have the wheel out of the way, we have a clear view of the front brake flex hose. You're going to find that I used some penetrant on my brake bleeder screw attached to my caliper. I also used some penetrant up on the steel brake line that leads into the flex hose near the body of the vehicle. Now let's continue on at the bleeder screw. Typically you'll find that you have a rubber bleeder screw cover. Go ahead and remove that, and we'll be using a 10mm to open this up by turning it clockwise. We want to make sure we have a collection receptacle under this area and hand and eye protection at all times. Just a quick inspection of that bleeder screw cover. It's a good idea to reuse these. They protect your bleeder screw. To open my bleeder screw, I'm using a 10mm wrench. We'll be turning this counterclockwise as I mentioned. Now once you see a steady trickle of fluid making its way out of this area, we want to make our way up inside the passenger compartment. Press the brake pedal all the way down to the floor. You're going to find fluid will make its way out of this area and stop. We're going to hold the brake pedal on the floor. You can use a pry bar if necessary. So now I'm just using a small collection receptacle bottle here. I'm putting the end on. Of course, if you have a pan, you want to be careful not to get it on the ground. Let's go ahead and open that. I do see fluid flowing. Let's make our way inside that passenger compartment so we can press down on the brake pedal as I mentioned. Perfect. Now that I have the brake pedal pressed all the way to the floor, I'm back at my front wheel here. Go ahead and remove that. You can see that fluid has stopped making its way out. This is why we pressed the brake pedal to the floor. Now keep in mind the whole time the brake pedal is depressed, the brake lights are on. We'll just temporarily close this. Now that I have that closed, I'm following the flex hose all the way up to the upper mounting point where it meets to the body of the vehicle. We have a metal bracket here and we also have our steel brake line. We need to dislodge the brake line from the flex hose. Now as far as this is concerned, to break it free, I like to use an 11mm flare end wrench. We want to be careful not to strip our fitting. Go ahead and work that back and forth. Once you do have it broken free, let's continue on with an open end wrench if necessary. Be careful not to damage that steel brake line. Now, as you can tell, I have separated my brake line from my flex hose. We're going to give that brake line fitting a close inspection. If it looks like it's damaged, you're going to want to go ahead and replace it. Now, mine does look fine, so I'm setting it aside. Now, in the same area that we just removed the brake line from the flex hose from, we have the bracket. Just above the bracket, there's a small metal clip that needs to be removed. After that, we can pull this brake hose down and out of here. Keep in mind, there is brake fluid inside of the brake hose. When it comes down, fluid might come out. We'll use some pliers for this clip. A thorough inspection of the clip. If it looks like it's rotted and weak, you need to replace it. This looks fine. We'll take hold of the flex hose, give it a wiggle, and pull it out of position. So we'll continue on with our 11mm. We'll take hold of the fitting here, start turning this counterclockwise. When you look at the flex hose, you're going to find that it has one locating tab. Now, as I start turning this, I can see that the fitting is not spinning on the line itself. I'm not necessarily worried about the line and flex hose since I am replacing it. So I'm going to bend that tab out of position. I'll just use some pliers for that. And now let's start turning this counterclockwise, unscrewing it from the caliper. There it is, friend. Prior to installation of any brand new part, let's make sure we clean and inspect the mounting area. We already inspected the line up along the top. Now that we've removed the flex hose, we need to also inspect the caliper, confirming there's no miscellaneous debris. Now it's time for installation of the brand new front brake flex hose. We're starting down along the bottom. Now for this front brake flex hose, I'm bringing it into position. Now I had mentioned during the removal process we had one locating tab. I'm sliding that into the groove on the caliper. Now at this point we should be able to turn our brake line fitting. We're screwing this into the caliper itself. Okay, right there is bottomed out. Let's just take it a tiny bit further here. We want to make sure that that's properly seated, but we do not want to strip it. Now at this point, this should not move around in any way as far as being at the caliper. Let's continue on with the rest of the flex hose up near the body of the vehicle at its next mounting point. Now for the upper portion of the flex hose, making its way up to the bracket here, it has two small locating tabs. All we're going to do is gently press this towards the bracket. We'll give it a gentle twist in one direction or the other until it fits flush. After that, it's time to continue on with our small metal clip. For this metal clip, we're going to line it up with the top of the bracket and the slot on the flex hose, and then you're going to press it all the way in. You can use a hammer if necessary. Double check to make sure that's secured in place. We'll continue on with our brake line next. For the brake line, we're bringing it up and over the flex hose. We need to make sure that it's going in straight. You can tell that I'm off kilter here. So I'll just adjust this as necessary, and we're going to start it in by hand. We want to make sure we are not cross-threading this in the wrong positioning. Let's just go ahead and tighten it up. We'll use our flare and wrench to make sure this is nice and tight, 11 millimeter. Double check to make sure the line does not move around in the flex hose. The next thing we need to do is remove pressure from the brake pedal. After that, make your way back out here to the bleeder screw. Now after that, it's time to open up the bleeder screw using a 10 millimeter here. Once you have it open, we're waiting for a steady trickle of fluid to make its way down through the brake hose, through the caliper, and then out through this bleeder screw. Okay, so I got a steady trickle of brake fluid here. Just gonna go ahead and close this. The next thing we want to do is make our way up inside the passenger compartment. You want to press on the brake pedal several times. Confirm that your brake pedal feels firm. If it does not feel firm, you need to continue on with the manual brake bleed. I like to bleed all of the brakes at the same time. Now, assuming that brake pedal does feel firm, go ahead and clean any mess and reinstall your bleeder screw cover. After that, just one last quick inspection in this area. You can reinstall your wheel, and of course, you want to make sure you top off your brake fluid. Once you have your wheel in place, continue on to all 5 of your 21 millimeter lug nuts. We're going to bottom them out in a crisscross manner. Now I've got the wheel back on the ground. Let's go ahead and torque these lug nuts to that 148 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. Torqued. If you have a hubcap, install that now. To install the hubcap, there's one area that we want to pay special attention to on the rim. You're going to find you have a valve stem. Now, if you were to look at the hubcap, you're going to find on one of the large slots, there's a special area for that valve stem to fit into. Let's make sure we align this in the proper placement, and we'll tap it in. Double check to make sure it's completely seated all the way around. Okay friend, we finished our installation. Now the next thing we have to do is make our way into the engine compartment. You want to make sure you top off your brake fluid with clean .4 brake fluid. Now as far as this is concerned, we're going to make sure that we remove the cap. We'll just give this a quick inspection, make sure the seal is in good usable order. At this point, we want to remove all the fluid from inside of the master cylinder reservoir and replace it with clean .4 brake fluid. Now, as we attempt to fill this, looking along the side of the master cylinder reservoir, we can see that there's a minimum spot here. And then as we make our way up towards the fill neck of this, you can see the maximum line. Let's fill this up to the maximum line so we can start our bleeding process. Now we have our .4 brake fluid. There we are. We'll just reinstall this cover so we're sure nothing makes its way inside of the braking system as we continue on. Now at this point, we're going to start bleeding the brakes. We're starting at the passenger side rear. We'll bleed that caliper. After that, I'm going to go over to the driver's side. I'll repeat that exact same process. Once I've done that, I'm going to be meeting you back at the master cylinder. We're going to make sure we top it off up to that maximum line. After we've completed topping off the master cylinder, we're at the passenger side front. We'll bleed the brake there, and then I'm going over to the driver's side to repeat that exact same process. In the end, we'll be back up here so we can top it off one last time. Now I'm at the passenger side rear so I can start the bleeding process. I have a second person inside of the passenger compartment. Now that person is going to pump up the brake pedal for me approximately 3 to 5 times. They're going to hold it and let me know. When they do so, I'm going to be opening up my bleeder screw. We're waiting to see a steady trickle of fluid making its way out with no air bubbles. We're going to repeat this process until we only see clean fluid with no air. Since I do have a bleeder screw cover, I'm going to remove that. Just a quick inspection and I'll set it aside. Go ahead and pump up that brake pedal, please. Now while they're holding it, as I mentioned, I'm just going to open this. We have our collection receptacle under here. Go ahead and pump, please. Now I did see a couple air bubbles there, so we're just going to repeat that process. Go ahead and pump, please. That one looked good. Let's do it one more time here to confirm. Go ahead and pump. Perfect. You can release, thank you. Now that I've confirmed that I have only clean brake fluid making its way out, no dirty fluid, and definitely no air bubbles, I'm going to clean up all the mess in this area. After I've completed that, I'm going over to the other side of the vehicle, to the other rear caliper. I'm going to complete this exact same bleeding process. After I've completed that, I'm meeting you at that master cylinder so we can top it off. Make sure this is nice and clean so we can double check for leaks in the end. Now back at our master cylinder, we're going to make sure that we top this off up to that maximum line we had discussed. Let's make sure we protect this area. We'll continue on to our next 2 brakes, starting at the right front. Now from the master cylinder, we're at the passenger side front caliper. We're going to bleed this brake as well. Go ahead and pump up that brake pedal, please. Go ahead and pump. Okay, as you could tell, I had only clean, brand new brake fluid making its way out, no air bubbles. I'm going to go ahead and clean up my mess in this area. After that, I'm going over to the driver's side front caliper. I need to repeat this exact same process. After you've done both front calipers, go ahead and make your way back to the master cylinder. You're going to top it off one last time. Okay, so they're all bled. We're at the master cylinder. Just go ahead and remove that cap. We're topping this off up to the maximum line just like we did before with our clean .4 brake fluid. There we are. Right up to my line. It's exactly where I want to be. Make sure you reinstall the cap and make sure it's secure so no moisture or debris make its way inside of the braking system. Okay friend, we finished bleeding the brakes. Now the next thing we want to do is just double check for leaks. After that, reinstall all the wheels, torque all of your lug nuts to 148 foot-pounds, and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.